Hello beautiful people, welcome to Spoiler Recap. Today we are going to watch a short version of a movie called Big Brother. After years of service in the United States military, Henry has relocated to Hong Kong. He returns to his former school, Tak Chi Secondary, with the intention of beginning a career as a teacher. The principal mentions that he lacks teaching experience, but he gets the job after seeing a recommendation from a higher official. The principal tells Henry before he leaves that the class he is to teach is the worst in their school. Henry enters the classroom on his first day of school to find it in complete disarray. Some students are sleeping, singing, playing video games, and cooking ramen on a portable stove, while others are sleeping. They continue with their activities despite the teacher's arrival and completely ignore him. Henry tries to get their attention, but they make it look like they don't hear him. He gives up on trying to get them to pay attention and instead goes around the classroom praising the activities they are already engaged in. He tells the students who are cooking to eat less ramen because of its excessive sodium content. Henry then approaches a student named Zufa playing the ukulele and assists him. Then, he warns a young gamer against the radiation he might get from constantly staring at a screen. When the students begin paying attention to him, he introduces himself and writes his name and phone number on the board. His ugly writing makes the students laugh. After that, a student calls and asks Henry to leave the class, but Henry laughs it off. Once more, the kids ignore him and carry on with the activities they were engaging in prior to his arrival. Having enough of it, Henry utilizes an elastic band and chalk to set off the fire sprinkler in the room. To prevent themselves from getting wet, the students quickly spread out. He finally gets all of their attention, and he officially introduces them to his class. After class, a gathering of 5 lowest-ranking students assembles in the game's supply space to smoke. Jack, the group's leader, has a crush on a student in another class who is in the 8th grade. He is mocked by his friends when they see him staring at her picture. The group competed with the school's basketball team's wealthy and spoiled youngsters. As usual, they mock Jack for being poor as soon as they enter the supply room. Later, Jack and the group watch the basketball team practice while they are nearby. The team leader is knocked to the ground when Jack drops a bottle on the court. Miss Liang, the school's English teacher, gives the group a detention despite the group's laughter. To avoid detention, they play a trick on her and flee while she is cleaning her desk. On the other hand, the principal of the school is upset because the education board intends to withhold 20% of their annual funding. The members of the board come to the school to look at how the money is being used. Henry enters the classroom where the students have set up a water bucket to prank him. However, he is able to push the bucket away with the speed of his reflexes. Surprised are the students who had been anticipating making fun of him. Knowing that Jack smokes, Henry asks for Jack's packet of cigarettes. Inquisitive about what he is about to do, Jack just hands him the pack. After that, Henry asks Zufa to list the 3 components of a cigarette. He is permitted to skip class for the day if he correctly answers the question. Everybody begins to beat on their work areas requesting that they should get to skip class too. When they calm down, he gives them all a cigarette and asks them to look at it. Henry is aware that they won't take it seriously if he simply mentions how it affects their health. So all things being equal, he questions them about the result of smoking cigarettes and how tar structures in their lungs. They are actually interested in learning and pay attention to the teacher for the first time. He asks them to return the cigarettes when the bell rings, and the students reluctantly agree. On that particular day, in the cafeteria, the basketball team captain causes one of Jack's friends, Bruce, to trip on his leg. This leads to a disagreement between the two groups, which quickly escalates into a conflict. The place is destroyed as they fight over tables and food. Henry learns later that 5 of his students have been suspended for a time because they started the fight. Henry intervenes when he sees Jack engaged in a fight in the hallway. When Jack is asked to calm down, he says that the school is unfair because the rich kids don't get punished. Henry looks through the files of all 5 students that day after school to learn more about them. The first man, Zufa, is the son of a Pakistani immigrant who has always faced racial discrimination. The police officers in his neighborhood frequently make theft accusations against him. Zufa's one and only lifelong ambition is to become a musician. A girl by the name of Deanna is the second student. Since she was born, her father was disappointed because he had always wanted a son. Deanna has endeavored to earn the respect of her father her entire life. She even pretended to be a boy by playing with cars and cutting her hair shorter. However, her father does not care about her while treating her younger brother like a prince. The brothers Bruce and Chris are next. When they were young, their mother fled with a man, turning their father into an alcoholic. While growing up, the brothers only had each other to talk to. Bruce worked hard in a grocery store to earn money for the family while Chris became obsessed with video games as an escape from reality. Lastly, Henry is unable to locate any information regarding Jack's family history. Jack works as a waiter at a restaurant in the following scene. Jianying, a MMA bettor, and his business partners arrive at the restaurant. Jack takes his expensive lighter while Jianying is not looking, but he is caught. He was beaten by Jianying's men as he checked Jack's ID. Then, Jianying gives him money and offers him a job as their food delivery man after learning that he is a student. In the following scene, Henry goes to Zufa's house and finds him fleeing his father and other people after stealing a ticket. He initially assists him, but once he learns why he is being pursued, he takes the father's side. After that, he and Zufa visit the bridge to hang out. Henry sings with a street band to encourage Zufa to do whatever he wants. Zufa joins him a second later and sings for the first time in front of people after being bullied at school for years. Bruce and Chris's father, on the other hand, orders them to bring him a beer from the store when he returns home. He yells at the brothers to leave his house when they refuse. Henry meets with their father the following day and convinces him to go to rehab for his sons and his own good. In another scene, Denon's father asks her to behave like a girl as he presents her with a bag of makeup. Denon is enraged at him for constantly implying that she is not good enough. She sneaks out of the house with the car key after applying makeup to her younger brother. She is about to leave in her father's car, but Henry stops her just in time. He informs her that it is against the law to drive without a license and offers an alternative. They then visit a go-kart racing track. Additionally, Henry invites her father and makes them compete. During the race, the father and daughter show no mercy to one another and end up outside the track. Out of nowhere, Denon's go-kart is hit by a vehicle, yet she figured out how to evade it. Uninformed about this, her dad cries, grieving his girl's demise. Denon understands that he really does as a matter of fact love her and embraces him. The next day, Bruce and Chris, along with a group, are taken to a rehabilitation center the following day to interview a recovering alcoholic. The fact that their father is the person they have to interview is surprising to them. He is asked by the students how he got into drinking. The man responds that although he loved his wife very much, he was devastated when she left him. As a result, he said he was drinking, forgetting that he had to look after 2 kids. The man apologizes to Bruce and Chris but does not reveal that they are his sons. The brothers are left weeping at the end. On the other hand, Jack started working for the MMA bettor Jianying company. In the following game, he offers Jack a substantial sum of money to drug a fighter's drink. Jack is forced to accept the offer despite his reluctance. Jianying bets the fighter on the day of the fight but puts money on his loss. Then Jack is caught injecting drugs into the fighter's drink. He is beaten and locked in a locker before he can point the finger at Jianying. Henry showed up a while later and asked the fighter if they had seen his student. Jack yells for help from inside the locker and then Henry attacks them once he realizes Jack is trapped, and he easily defeats them. Henry successfully dodges their attacks when the fighters step in, which causes the fight to get a little heated. He knocks out their best fighter, who was scheduled to compete in a few minutes. After that, they are at the hospital where Henry receives treatment for his wounds. Jack made an effort to tell the truth about Jianying, but he was told to stop. Henry becomes known as the person who beat up a professional fighter to save his student after the news makes it to the television. The students begin to respect him as his popularity grows in the school. In contrast to their previous behavior, they even stand to formally welcome him to class. We are shown in a flashback that Henry used it to play pranks at school. At the event, he even threw water balloons at a piano-playing student. He then got into a fight with the same student and broke his hand. Then he was suspended from school and had to fly to the United States. After that day, students pay close attention to Henry's instruction and diligently prepare for the upcoming college entrance exam. Bruce, who has developed a drug addiction, is the only person who is not doing well. Bruce began using drugs, whereas Chris turned to video games to avoid the problems in his family. He performs poorly on the monk entrance exam due to his lack of concentration. Bruce's depression worsens over time, despite Henry's assurances to assist him. He eventually jumps off from their home's balcony. He collapses and is rushed to the hospital. The news is twisted by the media, who attribute Bruce's actions to the school and Henry. Henry is interviewed by education board officials, who ultimately decide to revoke his teaching license. The students follow him as he packs his belongings and leaves the school, pleading with him to stay. Although they are heartbroken by his absence, they are aware that they must pass their upcoming exam to please him. Since that day, they have worked twice as hard on their studies to show the board that Henry is a good teacher. On the day of the test, Henry sends a text to Jack and his classmates, requesting that they meet at the school 1 hour before the test. When the students get together, they learn that Jianying used a trick to keep them in the school so they wouldn't get to the exam room on time. He is doing this to teach Henry a lesson. Henry finds out about Jianying's plan when he arrives at school a while later. Then Henry frees the students and fights all of Jianying's men to stop them from hurting the kids. While Henry fights Jianying, the students get away quickly and make their way to the examination room. While they are fighting, Jianying reveals that he was the individual Henry had threw water balloons at when he was younger. It turns out that Jianying couldn't compete in a big music competition after Henry broke his arm. Since the occurrence, he hasn't touched a piano and blames Henry for destroying his dream. Henry tries to talk to him, but he gets attacked once more. After that, they both try to go for the knife. Henry finally has the opportunity to kill him, but he fails to do so. As he walks away, he apologizes for what he did when he was younger. In the following scene, the students get to the examination room on time and finish the test. Weeks later, they receive a letter in the mail showing that they all passed the exam. After all the chaos, Jianying picks up the piano again, but before he can play it as well as before, he needs to practice a lot. After that, we see Bruce quickly recovers and promises to take the entrance exam the following year. We also see the principal is also thrilled that the board decided to award them a 20% bonus for their students' success on the entrance exam. In the following scene, Henry performs a fire sprinkle trick when he returns to the classroom, and then welcoming a new group of students to his class. This is where the movie ends. Thank you for watching. Like, comments, and subscribe for more videos.